All right, let's see if I've actually got this set up right. Seems that I do. Groovy. Okay. Now, testing, testing. Hey, second camera. Ooh. All right. Yeah. I'll just wait for some people to arrive. See how these notifications work on YouTube. Today we're going to be designing some dungeons, and I'm not specifically going. I might not be making a complete and cohesive dungeon in like one piece, but I will be talking about a lot of the theories and principles of dungeon building as it applies to actually playing at a table with actual players, as opposed to designing a dungeon because it looks pretty or because it makes some sort of logical consistent thing in your world. You're putting yourself in the mind's eye of the person who's making the dungeon in the first place. I don't. I put myself in the place of a dungeon master who's going to be running a bunch of players through it, and I know exactly what they're going to do. Hey, Mr. L. Hey, Sean. How's it going? Happy Pride Month, everyone. I'll be using a rainbow of colours today. Okay, so we're going to switch over to the Battlemat. Hey, Tie-Dye. How's it going? And just a reminder to everybody that it is a monetized live stream, so super chats are enabled and much appreciated. And they also get my attention pretty quickly. Hey Theo, Sean, Adriana, hello, Juju Bear, Alexander, Yarlax, or Jarlax, Robot Monkey, Moondog, hello, Olivia, hello. Yep, you finally caught me. Hey! Happy Pride Month. Nice. Dungeon time. Hey, Aiden. Celtic Cricket. Hello. Brian, how's it going? Dire Hobbitness is good. Comic Nut. Hello. That's fine, Comic Nut. I'm just happy to have you here. Hello. Larintloanga. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm alive, it's true. Hey, Silver Trifles. Hey, thanks, Alex. Have some money, thank you. Rhetoric, how's it going? Hey, do I still no shut up and take my money button? Oh, yeah, the live stream. Of the Kickstarter. So the Kickstarter, to explain to everybody who is not aware of what the Kickstarter is, this, which I'm going to be using today, is a silicon battle mat. Double-sided with grid on one side and hex on the other. Each of these 1 inch, so it gives you some idea of how big this is because it's still got tons on the other side here. I've got a Kickstarter running for these at the moment. It is in review because of the factory changed their manufacturing details, so it drastically changed the funding goal and the price per unit. So this is only $13.50 US dollars. The Kickstarter is currently being approved by Kickstarter, but the link in the description of the video down below is a link to the preview of the new Kickstarter page with the updated campaign and stuff. It is still open for suggestions about any like things that need to be clarified and stuff, so just let me know. Okay, but we're going to be using this Battlemat today. Thanks, Kikastuk. That transition scared you. I know, yeah, it's a bit unexpected. Hang on, I'll switch back. Hi. Yeah, but I've got the second camera set up just beside me here, which is why this glaring light is coming off me. He's in the dark, yeah. Mainly because I don't want the shadow from the light above me, which I normally have on down on the Battlemat here, which makes it easier to see what I'm doing. Hail like in the subscriber. Thanks, Joshua. You have missed so many Camel Wars. Hello. Trajan, hello, thank you. DM tip I learned recently: if you need inspiration for dungeon layouts, look up a mall near you. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a pretty good suggestion. Dark vision helps. Dice don't lie. No matter what, you gotta have a beholder eye prism in a room that moves half anti-magic at a time and in rotation, my man. Most fun I've ever had in a single room. That definitely is. Yeah, that's cool. And that's the sort of thing that I'm talking about. It might not make a huge logical sense in your game world to have certain things in certain places, but in a role-playing sense, they really work. Like, they make sense. Hey, Tia Lisa. You feel like we're going to see a face in the background any minute. No, because the cat's outside. Much to her protest, but she got turfed out. Alright, let's get started. So, while I'm drawing over here, I'll try and keep track of what everybody's doing over in the comments. Maybe if I could do this and then this, that will make it a bit easier. Yeah, that works. Okay, so first up, a good principle that I was talking to my good friend Jada about was traps, right? And here's a primary narrative fumble that DMs get into, which is where and why do you put a trap in a place. So the where should always be if there is a long way and a short way to the same destination, you always put the trap in the short way, not the long way, because you want to make it a challenge to get past the trap in order to get the benefit of getting the shortcut. But if they don't make it past the trap, then the only real downside is they lose some resources and they have to go the long way. Okay, does that make sense? Never put the trap in either both ways or just the main long way, right? Because there's no benefit to getting past that trap, really. So that's the first principle, is always put the trap in the shortcut. And also, it makes sense that whoever built the dungeon may not necessarily, like, they may put a bypass to the trap, like a lever or a stone or something like that, that they put their foot down on and it clicks and counter changes things, so they can get past the trap. Like, if you've got a trap right before their it's on the main path to their laboratory that they use all the time. What's our laboratory symbol? A test tube? Oh, my marker pen doesn't handle the wet very well. Oh, my green pen doesn't work. I should have tested this stuff out before I started. We'll use blue. Why not? A little bit of smoke. Laboratory. Alchemist lab. So they're not going to put the trap right before they go into the main laboratory, because they could be carrying test tubes and all that sort of stuff, and if, like, maybe there's a little narrow step thingy beside the trap that they know where it is and they can go past, but they're not going to put something which requires them to step on specific tiles. Otherwise they're going to get peppered with darts and things like that. They may put something like a teleportation trap or something like that, so if they do accidentally set it off, it's going to be non-lethal. So that's kind of important. I'll flip back to me. So there you go. That's the first little tip that I've got for traps, is always put them on the shortcut, not the long way. Hey, thanks, Hills. The Hills. Nice rag. Yeah, this is just my dishcloth. I've been using it. Yeah, I've been using it for a lot of wet dry erasing, as you can see. It'll end up just being like a grunge colour. Watching intently with steepled fingers. Nice. AJ getting me to want to buy his mats with his demo. Well, it's not really a demo of it. Well, it is, but it isn't. It isn't. It's just like an aiding tool. Mimics and lurkers intently eavesdropping. True. Peter Yarl, thank you. Because I'm finally here live with you, just wanted to say your Lords of Ruin videos have been instrumental for my current campaign prep. Oh, excellent. Great. I've got a couple of demon videos coming out this week. It's going to be all demons this weekend. Real DM problems. Yeah, so you're also making the wave movement with your fingers. Jupiter Rising. Huh? Oh, the... Sorry about your Kickstarter, AJ. Was looking forward to it. Oh, it's not like cancel. It's just because the funding goal changed on the Kickstarter, I had to do a new Kickstarter. So I had to cancel the old one because you can't have two Kickstarters going at the same time for the same product, obviously. So the old one is currently cancelled, but the new one is just waiting for approval. So if you see the link down below the video, that will take you to the one that's waiting for approval. Dry it, then write and draw. Yeah, thanks, Sean. I should have got myself a dishcloth or a towel, whatever you call it. Hey, thanks, Adrianeth. When using traps, use kobold logic. Keep it simple. A sharpened stick does wonders in the right places. That is so true, including a sharpened stick with kobold poo on it. That also works. It should be hopefully approved within the next day to 3 days. It says 3 business days. So I'm just waiting on Kickstarter to approve it. Oh, okay, Indestructible Boy. Nice to see you, Taryn. Follow me, cameraman. What level should players want to be to confront Pale Knight? Pale Knight is death. Pale Knight is basically just death. A few shekels. Thank you, J-Prez. Hey, AJ, does your dungeon have any fish dudes? Could do. Hey, thanks to DM. Better, thank you. After that live stream donation, thank you very much. Oh, you didn't say defeat her. Okay, well, any level, really. So essentially, if you're confronting, okay, there's the thing. Confronting is something in your game or in your dungeon that is insurmountable, where the players, the intention of the dungeon master is to stop the players in their tracks and make them look for an alternate way around, or it's something that is going to capture them or take them prisoner or something like that. That's always a really tricky situation because you don't know what the players are going to do, and quite often the players just will not accept that there is no solution to a situation. They will throw out their hands and they'll just stare at you like, well, what are we supposed to do then? You know, and if you say, well, there's no defeating this thing, or there's no getting past this door, or there's no getting past this monster, or you're completely surrounded and they're going to capture you, it's good to give a little bit of forewarning that that's going to happen. Like, hey guys, there's a chance that your characters may be captured in this dungeon, and just sort of reassure them somewhat that, you know, it's not going to be a TPK or something like that. Or in the case of a potential TPK with a trap, for instance, where a fireball goes off right in the middle and they've got no way to get out of there, everybody fails their rolls miserably and they all drop, they get captured instead of killed outright. And they just wake up in chains in a dungeon or oubliette somewhere, or possibly tied up to a stick over a fire pit. Try not to confront Pale Knight before and after life. What's a trap that a kobold inventor would whip up within like 15 minutes to stop some adventurers? The easiest one is a hand crossbow with a tripwire. That's the easiest one, because they're quite capable of rigging something with that level of complexity. They may, like, instead of tapping a nail or something into a wall, they may actually use a screw because it's quieter. So that's something to keep in mind. But that's one of the easiest things. And also just like a cloth on the floor with something nasty underneath it, like a scorpion or something like that. So the scorpion may stick to the cloth, and the adventurers pick up the cloth to see if there's any treasure underneath it. Scorpion drops on them. Very simple trap. What do I think of the new Fae book? Well, I haven't seen inside it yet, so I'm interested. I'm more interested in the Fae, the Through the Mists Feywild book that I wrote the forward for, which has got tons and tons of Fey magic items in there, which is really cool. I've had a look through it, obviously, because I was part of the process, and that's coming to the DM's Guild soon. Thanks, The Hills. Also, I wanted to say thanks. Your vids have got me through a lot of shit work days and inspired my crappy art. So cheers, Kiwi. Keep up the good work. I'm more than happy to keep people entertained during their boring work days. I certainly sympathise. I used to work in a genetics lab, which is boring. So, yeah. Anything that I could listen to was good. A trap I used on players recently used sense, as in sense. The big bad had trained creatures to ignore a certain scent but to attack anything else, so a lavender spritz would protect you from the creatures. That's a brilliant idea. Hey Fire Ninja, how do I make traps interesting enough that my players don't just think they need to success on a thieves tools check just to find another way? Sometimes I get the vibe they just feel inconvenienced. Well, yeah, traps are an inconvenience. The main thing I would say is use landscape and things like that. So make the traps less tool fixable, like really big things, like for instance there's a trap called a Kissing Maiden. I'm just going to swap over to the camera here. Kissing Maiden trap is essentially, here's the floor, here's your adventurer, Mr. Sir Stickfigure, and what looks to be an ordinary panel on the floor is actually a spring-loaded trap. So when they step on it, the trap is going to activate and throw the Kissing Maiden up and smack them in the face real hard. That is what a Kissing Maiden trap is. Actually, let's do the action shot. So the other thing with the Kissing Maiden trap is that it can actually be like on a piston or something. This is particularly common in like dwarven dungeons, where dwarven engineering is quite often like hydraulic or pneumatic or counterweights and things, and they often reset. So the dwarves can carry on with their business and not have to actually spend time going around and checking all their traps and stuff. They may have a team that goes around and like squirts oil in all the joints and things, but otherwise they build things that are going to reset and are very tough. So that's Kissing Maiden trap. That one is fairly difficult to deal with tools, because the amount of force involved means that you would have to, like, first of all know that this is a Kissing Maiden trap, and then you'd have to wedge it somehow that would stop that spring from throwing that massive boulder up into your face. So it's really hard to deal with. The best thing to do is just avoid it. And it also works reversed as well, so you can have things coming down from the ceiling and smashing into you. And of course from the side, which would be the classic Galaxy Quest scene where they're going through like the conveyor belt with all the things on it. Oh, that's another thing to consider as well, is time. Time is a major consideration in how you design your dungeons. And the problem that I think most modern D&D players have, and DMs, and it's not your fault if you've just started in 4th edition or 5th edition, It's not your fault that you do this. It's the fault of Wizards of the Coast not putting this into the books very clearly. That things that you do, things that your players do, or things that the characters do, take time. So if your players have gone into the dungeon at 10 a.m. in the morning, fought through 3 different encounters, and then at the end of that, it's now 11 a.m., you fucked up. Because all the things that the characters do, like checking for traps, looking for secret doors, listening, checking, opening a chest, or fetching something, or casting spells, or fixing their equipment, or taking short rests, and all that sort of stuff, these all take increments of time. So listening, that's 10 minutes. Checking for a trap in a room, that's 20 minutes. With, like, if you get the player to sit down and say, look, okay, how is your character looking for traps? They will spend the next 10 minutes just describing what their character is doing. So it takes time. So it's quite reasonable. And most dungeons in the old days in D&D were built with the intention that the characters would go in a certain distance, and then they would leave before nightfall and go back to town and recuperate and basically restore themselves. Having a long rest or something in a dungeon should be damn near suicide. I mean, you're not going to sleep in a place that's like, it's like Minecraft. Monsters are nearby. You cannot sleep here. Oops, have I missed something? Also, any thoughts on brick or boot to the face traps, or an Inspector Gadget type lich? Yeah, sure. And mention a gadgeteer. What do you call them? An alchemist, artificer lich that keeps themselves alive through artificial means, like a clockwork lich, for instance. That would be cool. Or a clockwork golem sort of thing, I suppose it would be. That bad guy from the first Hellboy movie, who like winds himself up and he's full of sand. That was terrifying. I thought he was a really cool NPC. And the fact that he never talked, just like, because he's got no lungs and things. Creepy. Can you add a kobold trap that involves a badly hidden mounted gun? Yeah, I suppose you could. A ballista is about as close as you're going to get to a howitzer in D&D. Those are fantastic. The classic Terry Pratchett, for instance, is one of their trolls on the city guard is large enough to carry around a ballista like it is a crossbow. That's how big they are. And I think it's perfectly reasonable for a huge or large creature to carry around a ballista like a siege weapon. Because it's essentially a giant crossbow that fires a metal bar to smash through castle defences and portcullises and stuff like that. Inspector Gadget would probably make more sense as a Warforged, but, who says things have to make sense? How might you set up Hi Bryce, how might you set up a carnival or trap path as a travelling troupe for festivals? Are you talking like like one of those agility test type things where the challenge for the young youth of the town is to make it through this hopefully non-lethal array of kind of like a ninja warrior? Yeah, is that what you mean? because that would certainly work. And I think that would be a really cool inclusion to challenge your rogue and your fighter to test whose agility and endurance and strength are the best in a non-lethal sort of way. And if there's a substantial cash prize and possibly recruitment by an agency afterwards, that makes it quite a tempting target. And of course, basically it's just a series of skill challenges, and there's not going to be a lot of cerebral activity involved there. There probably will be a jostling to go last. Like the person who goes first is obviously at a huge disadvantage because they don't know how fast they have to run or at what point they have to jump, or that sort of thing, or particular techniques for getting past the thing. I've noticed in Ninja Warrior, the moment somebody figures out a way to get past one of the challenges, all the rest of them adapt and use that technique if they want to get through. So that would apply to a festival trap carnival. You're a big fan of glass spikes, fragile but nearly invisible and one-hit wonder. The spikes that spike growth that cast the spell, they're nearly invisible as well. And in the Storm King's Thunder game that I've been playing in for the last few months, it's certainly one of the most lethal spells that we've employed against giants. Grease spell and a command. And the spike growth. So grease and spike growth are a wicked combination. And that works perfectly well with sliding traps and things like that in the dungeon. One way that you can get players from A to B really quickly in a dungeon is a trapdoor. Putting pits and trapdoors and stuff in your dungeon is a lot of fun. Particularly if the secret doors to get to a shortcut are located at the bottom of a pit. And the pits have got rungs and stuff, so it's really easy to get out of the pit, and it's really easy to activate the pit. You just tap on it and the trapdoor opens, and then you go down the ladder, and then you open the secret door and go the shortcut and get there to the end of the dungeon sort of thing, past other sort of challenges and things. I would say the long way around could be represented by perhaps an earthquake happened at some point and there's a ravine, or some sort of a crevasse that opened up and now connects a couple of dungeons and rooms that previously were not connected. So you can sort of go that way. They may be infested with sturges or bats or something like that, or oozes. They could have other sort of problems, there could be a slow waterfall of acid that's really hard to detect. The wall is damp up ahead, and it seems to be some sort of a trickling liquid. And you put your hand on it and thinking it's just like a waterfall or something. No, it's actually acid flowing down from a volcanic flow somewhere up above, or some sort of corrosion of something in a lab or something. I don't know. But the idea that you can use trapdoors as a shortcut is certainly appealing because they're concealed. I mean, if you don't know the trapdoor is there, it's a trap that's quite effective, but it's also not really a trap for somebody who knows that it's there. And of course, if the characters are being quiet and sneaking through the dungeon, they may hear the trap being activated, like a ka-ding, as the trapdoor slams down, and they may possibly hear the villainous person getting away. That goes back to that time thing as well. If you're chasing somebody into a dungeon, or on the trail of something, or trying to get ahead of somebody before they activate all the traps before you get there, that's certainly something. You feel like you've made a similar trap while you're playing Minecraft, yeah. Hey, Jeff. Yeah, it's those aliens that smack you when you think from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Love the vids, man. And random question, what are the consequences for resettlement of a once forbidden city? Example, city of Omu or Uptown city of Chult. Resettlement of a once forbidden city. Well, that's way open to all sorts of possibilities. If the original population that forbade the city are still active, then settling there is going to inspire their wrath, apparently. And if it's forbidden by a god, you're in big trouble because you're going to get a plague of locusts or something like that come through. But I don't know. It really depends. It may be forbidden because the water is poisonous and they didn't put any signposts around the place. They just said, everybody's leaving now because the water's poisoned. They wouldn't bother leaving signposts for their own population, which is left. So it may be quite dangerous. Oh! I missed a few things. If you hear sounds going outside my window, it's because they're removing some trees around the power lines. Have I seen the moon ring? Have I seen the new Drow lore? I've seen a little bit of it, snippets, and it looks fine to me. It fits perfectly with Elven history. So yeah, like the Drow which were fighting against Miyatar, for instance. Miyatar. Anyway, the southeastern forest kingdom. They weren't the Drow that went on to form Menzoberranzan. And also there's long been like Menzoberranzan is way up in the north, so that's way away from where the Illitheri capital and activities all were. They were all around the Lake of Steam. So the peninsula of the Lake of Steam is where their capital city was, and they spread all along the southern coast of Faerun. So Chult and Thindle and Halrua and Drambrath and Lurin and places like that will have remnants of Illitheri ruins. Of course, they were from thousands of years ago, but they built things pretty tough. One of the characteristics of like ancient elven ruins is that they have seamless masonry and things like that. They look like shell and stuff. Or the Illitheri, for instance, could draw basaltic rock, like form a city out of lava and rise it up from the ground, and it would just cool and be, fantastic. So it had seams of gold and silver and stuff. Beautiful. Hey Jimmy Styles, thank you. Grimtooth's Traps is an interesting resource. I've used it for ideas to shape into my own. Grimtooth's it's good and it's bad. Like, it's really inspiring for a dungeon master to read through Grimtooth's Traps and go, oh, okay, so the entire corridor could actually be a seesaw that shifts, and like the corridor, when a bunch of adventurers go to the end of the corridor, they counterbalance the entire corridor, and maybe a big stone or a rolling ball or something that was just a statue or something before comes rolling down and pastes them all, or causes them to run and choose corridors unwisely, like they don't have time to listen and check because there's a big boulder behind them. And it also blocks off that way that they were walking in. So now that if they want to leave the dungeon, they have to go and find somewhere else to get out. So that's one thing. A lot of the Grimtooth traps, though, are just damned lethal. And the modern players of Dungeons & Dragons just are not equipped to deal with that level of complexity of dungeon traps. They're used to, encounter traps, not, spend the day trying to figure out the puzzle of this trap. It's like, well, if we don't get out of here, we're going to eventually drown. But we've got this complex calculus puzzle in the middle of the thing here. It's like, why did they build this? We don't know. Whims. The Tomb of Horrors, for instance, in Acererak, there's a lich that just builds dungeons to kill people. That's his entire shtick. He hates adventurers so much that he builds dungeons specifically to kill them. And that sucks as a player. It's cool, and everybody likes the idea of going through the Tomb of Horrors, but it's a grinder. It's a meat grinder. And a lot of modern players have been sort of, I don't know, there's a segment of the hobby population, which I'm not casting any shade on them. I'm just saying that they're not used to the idea that the character could die at any moment for fairly random reasons just because they rolled shitty on their dice. And they're probably going to have a temper tantrum and throw away their 15-page character backstory, or have a ceremonial burial of their character sheets. I don't know. Or bring back the character by any means necessary. There's a lot of players who don't have, the idea of making up 6 characters of level 1, and whoever survives to get to the dungeon is the one that actually makes it through the dungeon. But that's how we used to play. Yeah, water traps can be fun. I have missed a super chat. There it is. Jimmy, so sorry. A narrow hallway with a cannon at the end, with a door that falls behind them at the same time it appears. The hallway has alcoves that they can hide in as the fuse burns, but there aren't enough spots for everyone to be protected. So a game of mystery. What is it? The last person on the chair? What do they call that? I like it. I like it. Yeah, Piercer and Roper are a good trap in and of themselves. That's true. Alright, skipping ahead. Sorry about the grinding noises. You haven't played since first edition, Silverman. I know it's been years and a lot of changes and updates. I'm thinking about getting back into playing again. I have a lot to learn, I'm sure. Not really, honestly. So you can get a free version of the basic D&D rules are free. You can go to the Dungeons & Dragons website and you can get a very good idea of what the rules are all about just by reading through it. Essentially, 5th edition in a nutshell, they have paired everything back. They've related everything back to the character's attributes like they should. So everything is fairly balanced. There's no sort of power creep in the game. There's a little bit of power creep in the latest sort of supplements and stuff that are coming out now, because I think we're reaching the tail end of 5th edition a little bit. But as I've said before, as soon as we see a compendium of rules for 5th edition, that's the end of 5th edition, because that's the end of most of the other editions that came before, was when they released a compendium of D&D Basic or a compendium of 5th edition, 4th edition rules or whatever. That was it. That was the end of those. Anyway, you'll fit nicely into 5th edition, I'm sure. Thanks, Archangel Law. I don't know why moustaches get so much attention. Hey, thanks, Adrianeth. Crazed mathematicians, I say. Yeah, there's crazed mathematicians. Why couldn't there be just a little race of gnomes or something like that are obsessed with like mathematical puzzles? They just delight in the fact that humans struggle to understand mathematics while they have a natural aptitude for it. I could see that being a thing. Magical trap. A mirror that swaps a character with an evil version of him. Also, you're not sure what to do. Break the mirror or kill yeah, that would be a good one. And it may be a good opportunity for a player that actually wants to play an evil version of their character for a while. Like, particularly if it's a small mirror, a portable mirror, so they carry around that trapped version of themselves to make sure that nobody gets hold of it, because yeah, breaking the mirror is all it takes to release them. So that's an interesting idea. Then the player could be like, nya, nya, nya. Grimhild, hello. You missed 2nd edition, especially priests. Yeah, priests are cool. And cavaliers. Nobody plays cavaliers anymore. Bring back mounted combat, I say. Idea. Faction of orcs begins replacing their body parts with machinery until they're little more than orky warforged. They build rusty scrap factory for reproduction and become orc bots. I like it. Illusionary hole in the ground that tricks the adventurers into jumping into the real abyss. Ooh. All barbarians then, yeah. Hey, I'm lazy. Excuse me. Any tips on how to make my low to mid-level players feel more relevant over the course of a larger battle? I ran a major battle. It was fun, but I felt like the battle could have been won without them. Yeah. My main thing that I do is have them as a crack force of sneaky specialists. So essentially, what a party of adventurers is they're the Bad Batch. They're the non-conscripts. They're the specialist expendables that you send into gnarly situations because they're known to be able to get into dangerous situations and back out again. Player characters are very, very good at being sneaky. And typically that's used for sabotage and stuff like that, and sapping and things like that in a D&D game. Particularly if they can cast spells, then they're obviously very, very important if they can cast spells in a battle. But send them in to take out siege weapons and equipment and stuff, or do something to sabotage the food supply or the water supply of the opposing army, and that can have a huge impact on the battle. I had a bunch of players who were playing pixies. All of them were playing pixies. Don't do this, it's madness. And they went and sabotaged all of the siege equipment of an army. And the army were just like, what happened, because none of them saw the pixies coming, because pixies can turn invisible and fly. You played a Centaur Cavalier recently. Nice. Ooh, who asked me about Birthright? Hey, Moonring. Are you a fan of Birthright? Do you know of any unique monster from Birthright? No, I don't. Actually, I was just looking through the monstrous compendiums today while I was looking up some the Urudezu, which is a rat demon. Spoiler alert, that's one of the videos I'm going to be doing this week. And there are certainly monsters in Birthright, but it's a fairly low magic campaign setting as far as I know. I really need to get more information on Birthright. It just sort of passed me by. Delta Force, yeah, that's right. Your characters are Rambo and Delta Force. Did I hear Bad Batch? Yeah, Bad Batch is really good. It's Clone Wars offshoot. Go and watch it. So excited for the reincarnated Kickstarter to be born again. The Phoenix shall rise. You're going to be a DM for the first time next week. Jacob, that's cool, man. It's so refreshing for me, who's lived through the doldrums of the 80s and 90s, where D&D basically was reduced to a bunch of message boards where people were complete arseholes to each other, like RPG.net, for instance. And now we've got all these people who are getting into the game for the first time. And it's just like, you have no idea how much that makes us old school players happy. This is like, the game is going to survive past us. Like, it really is. Yeah. Phoenix! Yeah. Hair and no cap? Yeah, I know. Oh, I can't be bothered wearing the cap. It's warm in my room because it's winter, so I've got the heater on. It was so scarce and sad in the early 90s. Yeah, like, there is a perfect example of where the put up or shut up comes from. So, you had all these armchair DMs who didn't actually run games, who were in the message board shitting on people all day. And this happened for a decade. So D&D almost just basically died. These guys were I only play 2nd edition, I'm not playing this 3 and 3.5 shit. And they would not buy any new products. So the company was just strangling and struggling to produce anything, because they just like, well, distributors aren't going to take this because people aren't buying these books. And these guys were not bringing in any new players to the game. They were just, everything we do is great, the game doesn't need to change, blah, blah, blah. The company's just like a money grab, rah, rah, rah. And they damn near killed the entire hobby. So every time I hear these guys, the reaction from me is a little bit overboard, because I'm just like, your attitude is the one that damn near killed D&D. So get out. I'm not interested in it. Not interested in hearing like how superior old editions are and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to buy the new stuff. I don't care. I support the hobby. I support the companies that produce the books that get new people to play the game, because I want people to play the game with me. I can't do it all myself, so I support the hobby. Anyway, rant over. D&D madness. Yeah, not the D&D 5th edition Phoenix. Thanks, Adrianeth. Sir, you are talking of my origins. Those message boards were DMPC battlegrounds of utmost cringe. Yeah, absolutely. So cringy, so misogynistic, so just horrible. And these knuckle-dragging trolls have migrated over to like Facebook groups and things like that. And I guarantee you they're like, assholes in many aspects of their lives. And a large proportion of them, this is where the put up or shut up thing comes from, were experts who haven't played a game in a very long time. So they gave all these, like, they would descend into rules mechanics at every opportunity, and any sort of talk about interactions or real playing of the game at a table had them flummoxed because they hadn't done it in such a long time that they've basically forgotten how. It sounds like they're chopping down the forest outside. Exactly, Matt Nerdy. And hello, welcome. 100% right, AJ. It's I played since 1981. Never dreamed it would be this big. Yeah, absolutely. That it would be mainstream. It's just crazy. Unfortunately, there's not a lock that is blocking the sound from outside. Sorry to say. Yeah, they can insert D&D reference jokes in network TV now. That is huge. That is so true. Hello, Battlemat. I don't believe I've had you on a live stream before. Nice to see you. Hey, Nate. That's how I felt about 4th, because I had every Forgotten Realm book for 3.5 edition. True, but the thing is, 5th edition, you go straight back to those 3.5 books and reference all the lore in there, because they haven't really included a lot of lore in 5th edition. So those 3.5 books are invaluable. Raymond, any chance of a vid covering the basics of the 20 system versus 2nd edition? The transition to a different system is intimidating. No, that's not really my forte. I talk about lore and monsters and stuff like that. This was a bad time to do a live stream. Ooh, what was that? Moonring, are there any Hermeticism orders, cults in D&D lore? Hermits? Hermits? Monk orders? Hermits? There's always. I mean, that's part of human activity. First we had Evil Hand, now Chainsaws, Evil Dead vibes. True. AJ versus Leatherface. Oh, really? You can barely hear what's going on outside. Oh, that's good, because it's like right in my ear. It literally sounds like they're chainsawing outside my window. Yeah, true, Dishonored Coward. A race of tiger men who worship Gorka Morka and are culturally based on ancient Southeast Asia called the Werkan Fang temples. I like it. Hey Raymond, you can always email me and we can talk about it. It's just I'm not going to necessarily make videos about it because it's just not content that I feel entirely competent doing. Like, I'm not really a mechanics guy, but I'm certainly willing to chat with anybody anytime on Facebook or send me emails and things like that, and I will respond. Chainsaw Hand of Vecna. Oh, that'd be cool. Vorpal Chain Hand. Oh, the Order of Hermes for Mage of the Ascension. Ah, I am not very familiar with the Order of Hermes, I'm afraid. But we do know that the Greek mythology, the Greek pantheon, does exist in D&D. I have no idea what they're going to put in 6th edition, Jimmy. You only just heard the chainsaw, really? Good grief. This is a good microphone. Orc cats. Crikey, it's almost been an hour already. How do kitsunes breed if they are all female, of an all-female race? I don't know. They're supernatural, for one thing. So they probably don't have the same biological processes. Maybe. It could be a result of a curse. So they only pass it on to women and transform them into kitsune. I don't know. Could be all sorts of different ways. Too many people are stuck on biology. Like, demons don't generally have genitalia. How do they make crossbreeds? They infect them with demonic energy. That's one of the things I'm going to talk about in the demon videos this week is so devils are corrupted forms of celestials and demons are corrupted forms of elementals. Not literally, but if you look at it that way, they make a lot more sense. And so I'm going to be talking about that. By luring human males into the woods like all fantasy female monsters. You're not entirely wrong. Were-changeling. Okay. Kitsune, I think, steal essence from males of other races. Right. Yeah, bards. Let's just blame bards for everything. Goblin cats sound terrifying. Yeah, it's true. There is a witchy type of cat. That's not a Tresament. It's like a Cheshire type cat thing. I was going to make a video on them at one point. Kitsune are foxes that turn over 100 years old. Ah, well that makes sense then. I can't believe you guys can't hear the chainsaw. Ah, that's another good one, Allie. How does one deal with a player with expertise in perception, investigation, and the observer feat? So, this comes back to player agency, and it's okay for your players to have a good time, or to build a one-trick pony character. So, their character is devoted, all of their skill slots to max, and probably a lot of their feat selections and things like that, to maximizing their usefulness in one aspect of the campaign. There are many aspects to the campaign. Investigation and perception and stuff like that are pretty important, and they really do grease the wheels of getting everything going. But they're also a gift to you as the dungeon master, because you get to explain everything to that specific player, and that specific player gets to explain everything to everyone else. You can pass them notes. You don't have to explain everything to them in great detail. They can just ask you, like, you could pass over things saying, you notice that some of the tiles in this room are edged in blue, but the other ones in the other room were edged in, they're all edged in green. So they'll be like, why? Why is it edged like that? And it's like, don't know, but you just observed that that's the case, or you've investigated that and that is the case. So now you've got them investigating possibly a red herring, possibly going off on a wild goose chase, possibly getting the wrong idea about things. But the point is that they've observed it and you've given them information about it. It can also be really useful because it may be unprompted, they may be stuck in the adventure, and you say to that character, that specific player whose character is specialized in that, remember back when your character was training, what was the name of your tutor in, like, poison darts? You know, where did your character learn about poison darts? And the player will be like, and all of a sudden they're creating the backstory of their character. And you weave into that backstory some information which is specifically about this dungeon, and they've just noticed something pivotal, which is going to be a shortcut or possibly get them into trouble or something like that. Surely you can hear the wood chipper. Anyway, so it's not really a problem to have a very observant character, or somebody who just breezes through traps, or somebody who can just bend bars, break orcs in half, and like throw boulders like a hill giant. Their character is designed that way so that in certain situations they are guaranteed to shine, and a resourceful and creative dungeon master will take advantage of that, not see it as a hindrance. They'll be like, oh great, okay, your character is really good at casting fireballs, so I'm going to put you in some really interesting situations where fireballs are going to be the best thing that could happen or the absolute worst. Thanks, Matthew. Hey, I love the channel, and I've been slightly curious, what would be your favorite type of draconic creature, or just creature in general? Favorite type of draconic creature would be a dragon. If it's not a dragon, it would probably be something like a Behir, because Behirs are a remnant of a past war which is starting to kick up again, particularly in Faerun. Like, the Behirs will have an understanding that the ordning of the giants has been broken and the dragons have been released from their Dragon Rage mythal. And the Behir will be like, right, shit's about to hit the fan again, and they'll be gearing up, they'll be like breeding like crazy. Because Behir were created to destroy dragons, like, and possibly kill giants that previously controlled them. So they're quite interesting. And favourite creature in general probably would have to be the Illithids, Mind Flayers, because just aliens. Yeah, give the Perception Sherlock a Moriarty, a foil. Yeah, exactly. A floating city of blimps and airships, dirigibles, composed of webbing, inhabited by steampunk cultured eticaps who worship a tinkerer god. That's fantastic. Beholder, my eyes are up here. Thank you. Nice. Did we do a living dungeon yet? No, not yet. Certainly a possibility. One of the things I love about the Mind Flayers in particular is their use of biology and mutation. Aboleths are also fantastic like that, but Aboleths are more sort of straightforward, so they'll mutate something to control it and turn it into a slave or something to eat. There's Lake of Shadows or something like that, which is underneath Cormanthor. Nearby there's another lake which has got an Aboleth city, and they live quite close by to a dwarven settlement. And we don't know whether the Aboleth and the dwarves interact, but the Aboleth have got these enslaved, mutated drow. One of the Bainray brothers, siblings, children of Menzo Branson went there to get a Chaos ship. Chaos ships are really interesting. They're going off on wild tangents. Back on track. Sorry. Are there any monsters that are only friends to humans? Are there any monsters that are only friends to humans? You could say that all of the demi-human races are basically monsters who are friends of humans. Also, dogs are monsters that are friends of humans. A pack of wild dogs is quite terrifying, and yet, you know, they're fine. Cats, tabaxi, I don't know, friendly neighborhood zombie. It's not my fault I'm dead. It's like, he can take a punch, that guy. I don't even exercise. Hey, thank you, Kikastuk. 5th is fine for me. If I ever asked for anything from 6 would be rework the magic system. 5th isn't dangerous, but it revived the hobby, and 5th isn't dangerous, but it revived the hobby, and that's all we needed it to do. Let's all invest in it now to make the future better. Yeah. 5th edition fixed the power creep that was plaguing the game for 3 editions, as far as I'm concerned. Like 3.5 edition, if you don't tell me that it had too many feats, I'm going to slap you. It just did. The proliferation of prestige classes and feat chains, like partial feats that you have to get before prerequisite feats suck. I hate prerequisites feats. It's like, well, my character's now 5th level. What can I get? A feat, which is only really useful for getting the next feat that I really want. That was 3.5 for me. And Pathfinder's kind of a little bit the same way. Pathfinder's got some good things to it. 2nd edition Pathfinder both has good things and bad things. But more on that later. Why are you not scrolling properly? There we go. Anyway, folks, it is time for me to go. But this has been fun. Do you guys like this sort of thing where I split between the cameras? At least use 5 TD if you're going to insist on using 5th. 5 TD. What? Was good? Okay. Oh, Sir William. Nice to see you. You do enjoy the cam switching? Good. We'll keep it going then. Keep it going. Keep it going. Sounds so Australian just then. Keep it going. Wow. Had 173 people in here. Chat rate was 12 comments per something. And there's been 1,772 playbacks already. I love analytics. It's great. Check out the Kickstarter. It should be approved soon and live. Drastically reduced prices. You can get this fantastic cup of juice. No. This fantastic double-sided silicone Battlemat for only $13.50 US, and you can buy as many as you like. We also have some other products on the Kickstarter, which is a character sheet and a combat tracker that's got shiny. It's got little squares. Basically, you can fill in whatever you want in there. And the character sheet. I love that they scrunch up. You can fit everything in your one pocket. That's why they're called big pockets. I've lost the combat tracker. It's gone. Alright. That's it from me, everybody. Have a fantastic week. I'm going to go and inspect the damage to the garden outside. And I'll catch you later.